have to cope. You have to find ways to cope with things. And unfortunately, I didn't go in the direction that everyone wants me to go to. I find other ways to try and cope with my situation, and unfortunately, marijuana was the thing because it gets my mind, set, so I don't have to think about those things, just kind of something to try and make you forget what happened.
Did you get any treatment for PTSD, for post-traumatic stress disorder?
No, I was never treated for anything. When I was released from the military, they all assumed that, everything was fine and dandy. No one ever questioned anything about PTS.
Your wife died?
Yes. My wife died in 2001, and ever since, that, also changed. That's also a life-changing situation as well. And so that's also adding to, the mental part of my life, and so it's, people think it's easy, to cope with death, and it's not easy. It's hard for me to explain what's going on in my mind.
And Rohan Coombs, the possibility of the government seeking to deport you to Jamaica. Have you spent much time at all in Jamaica since you've been living in the United States? Do you have much connection to your homeland, other than the fact that you were born and raised there for your early part of your life?
No, since I've been here in the United States, I've been here almost 30 years. And since I've been here, I've never been back to Jamaica. The only time I left this country was when I was in the military. That was the only time I left this country. Besides that, pretty much the rest of my life I've been here in this country.
Why did you serve in the Persian Gulf War?
I joined the military because I believe in this country. When I came to this country, this was my home. This is where I was going to live. This is, where I was going to spend the rest of my life. And I figure if this is my country, this is what the country I'm going to defend. And when the Persian Gulf War happened, I was in the military. I was ordered to go. I was willing to go. I was willing to give my life for this country because I believe in the things that this country stands for. When the Persian Gulf War happened, I was all for it, because I felt that, the Kuwaitan government, they needed our help. And we went and we, liberate their country, and we helped them get out the Iraqis out of their country and set their country back up. And I thought that at the time, that was a good thing, and I still believe that was a good thing, because people was being oppressed, and we was there to help, and now that I'm in this situation, it just seems, ironic, because now that I need some help and support, there's not a lot of help there for me.
Finally, Ron, there are something like 2,000 to 3,000 people in your situation who served in the U.S. military, but who face deportation. Have you met anyone in the detention facility in your situation?
Yes. Since I've been here, there's been about 12 to 13 people since I've been here that came and they got deported, and they're all shipped back to their country. And, like I said, the sad thing about it is that when you go in front of these judges that are here, and, my particular judge, when I mentioned to him that I was a U.S. veteran, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, you know what, there's many veterans that came in front of me. What makes you so special? And, that's just, that just saddens me.
Rohan Coombs, a veteran of the Persian Gulf War, speaking to us from an immigration detention center in San Diego. I'm joined right now from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, by his appellate lawyer, immigration attorney Craig Shagan. He has worked extensively on the deportation of non-citizen veterans and is filing an appeal on Rohan's deportation order later today. Welcome to Democracy Now! Just explain his situation right now and the grounds on which you're appealing, Craig.
Well, there are several grounds that we're appealing. Of course, in each individual deportation case, there are very technical grounds by which you may be able to help that particular alien gain the ability to remain in the United States. The broader question in his case and in the other cases that his situation brings to light, that is those of veterans who are now being deported, is a question of loyalty. And it's the loyalty that the United States owes to those who have put on the uniform and defended it. There is something in American law known as a non-citizen national, and it's our position that veterans, that is anybody who serves in the United States military from the moment they take the oath of allegiance, is in fact a non-citizen national. The reason for that is that when they go overseas in uniform, they are in fact treated under both American law, international law, and the law of war as American nationals. That is, they're putting on the emblem and the insignia of the United States. When they're sent overseas, they are subject to the status of forces agreement as if they're American nationals. If they're captured in war, they will be treated as American nationals, not only by the other combatant country, but also by the United States, which, under the Army Code of Conduct, the very first provision is, I will always remember that I am an American. And there's nothing that strips them of this status when they return. And indeed, when they return, they don't return as aliens, they return as Americans. They're not inspected by INS when they return, or USCIS today. They are sent back to their military bases just like every other soldier. So it really comes down to a question of whether the United States is going to remain loyal to these people and give them the protection that they deserve. When they go off to war, as Mr. Coombs pointed out, it's a very serious, dangerous endeavor. They may lose their life, they may lose their limbs, but one thing they should never lose is their country.
And he says he was told by his recruiter he would become an American citizen if he fought for his country, for the United States.
That response is absolutely typical of all the other veterans I've represented as well. They all believe that they were citizens. After all, they raise their hand, they swear an allegiance to the United States, and I've even heard from their commanding officers that they believed that that they had no further obligation to do anything. And in fact, the Army has now taken, to its credit, very positive and affirmative stances to make sure this doesn't happen. But for years and years and years, the commanding officers would have no idea that the people serving under them were not, in fact, citizens of the United States. They just assumed they were. And many of them, in fact, believed that they were.
Craig Shagan, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Rohan Coombs, appellate attorney, who's worked with a number of non-citizen veterans facing deportation. That does it for the show. Special thanks to Kudos Ismaili and Marco Amador and Robin Sword. I'll be speaking tonight at Tufts University in Medford, at Barnum Hall in Massachusetts, and tomorrow at 5:30 at Columbia University School of International Public Affairs Alshul Auditorium. That's 5:30 Tuesday. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Burke, Shufa Dokadus, Armate Angeli Comet, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Hani Masood, and Robbie Karen, Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Nagara, and Peter Curries, our engineer. Special thanks to Becca Staley. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us.